The day my land became a dog park nightmare and I fought back. Imagine pulling into your driveway after a long trip, craving the peace of your quiet, tree-lined property, only to be greeted by a chaotic scene straight out of a fever dream. 30 dogs barking, 2 porta potties stinking up the air, and a woman with a megaphone perched on your barbecue grill like she owns the place. That's the madness I, Tom Harper, walked into when I returned to my home in Pinewood Estates, a sleepy suburban enclave in Maple Grove. My acre of private land, a haven of green at the edge of town, had been hijacked into a makeshift carnival. Neon signs blared, "Paws Park Community Space." Fresh mulch was strewn across my lawn, and 3 picnic tables sat under a banner proclaiming Maple Grove Dog Haven. At the center of it all was Linda Grayson, self-anointed president for life of the Pinewood Homeowners Association, shouting through her megaphone that my land was now a public dog park. She had no idea I was the newly appointed zoning commissioner for Maple Grove, and she was about to learn she'd picked the wrong man to mess with. It was a crisp October afternoon, the kind where the air smells of fallen leaves and promises calm. Instead, I stood frozen, suitcase still in hand, watching a golden retriever defile my mailbox and a bulldog gnaw the wiring off my fence gate. A volunteer, yes, a volunteer was stapling laminated dog park rules to my century-old oak tree, while kids darted around clutching juice boxes labeled Paws Juice. It felt like I'd stumbled onto the set of a low-budget comedy gone horribly wrong. Linda, in her neon pink vest, waved triumphantly from atop my grill, her voice booming. As of today, this land is the Maple Grove Dog Haven, approved by the city. All dogs welcome, even the feisty ones. The crowd dog owners, HOA loyalists, and confused neighbors lured by free snacks gave a half-hearted cheer. I couldn't decide if this was a prank or a full-blown felony unfolding before my eyes. Linda spotted me and swooped down, arms outstretched like I was an honored guest. "Tom, you're just in time for our first poop bag ceremony," she chirped, as if we were old pals. "Don't worry, your shed will make a perfect storage spot for doggy bags." I stared, my mind racing between laughter and rage. "Linda," I said, slow and deliberate, "what in God's name are you doing on my land?" Her smile didn't flicker. "Your land? Oh, Tom, you must have missed the newsletter while you were away. This has been rezoned for community use. Voted on last Thursday. We're even naming the water station after your late father, Harold. Isn't that sweet?" My father, who passed 3 years ago and cherished this land's solitude, would have been horrified. Fury surged in my chest, but I kept it locked down. Linda didn't know I'd spent the last 10 days in D.C., speaking at a land ethics summit as Maple Grove's new zoning commissioner. The irony was thicker than the mulch she'd dumped on my tulip garden. I didn't reveal my title. Not yet. Instead, I wove through the chaos dodging a kid on a scooter and a dachshund sporting sunglasses to my shed. Inside, it was a war zone, garden tools tossed aside, storage bins pried open, and a garish banner strung across the rafters reading, "Welcome to Paws Park." I pulled out my phone and photographed everything, every footprint, every nail, every discarded shovel. Evidence was my ammunition, and I'd build a case so airtight it'd bury her. Back outside, Linda was orchestrating volunteers to place a plastic fire hydrant statue, treating my property like her personal playground. The HOA board, a gaggle of spineless yes-men, stood by clapping like they'd been hypnotized. One handed out Paws Juice to kids, another filmed TikToks about dog park liberation. It was utter insanity. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, poring over zoning maps, property deeds, and municipal codes. My land had been zoned private residential for 14 years. No rezoning applications, no public hearings, no votes, nothing in the records. Linda's approval turned out to be a crude sketch on a cocktail napkin, signed by her and a few cronies. I laughed bitterly. She really thought she could manifest public land through sheer audacity and a photocopier. The next morning, I drove to town hall and asked the planning clerk to pull every request filed by Pinewood's HOA in the past month. The folder was thinner than a diner menu, just one complaint from Linda, accusing me of hoarding green space for selfish reasons. I had my assistant draft a cease and desist letter through my office, but held off sending it. I wanted Linda to keep digging her own grave. The deeper she went, the harder she'd fall. By day 3, Linda's delusion hit new heights. She launched a website, pawsparkmaple.org, complete with a donation button, a fake list of sponsors, and a countdown to a Pawspalooza grand opening. She'd used HOA funds to bankroll flyers, plastic dog statues, and even a social media campaign. I got proof from Mike, a quiet HOA board member who'd had enough. He met me at a gas station, slipping me a budget sheet with a whispered, "I didn't sign up for this." The numbers were damning. Thousands diverted for park beautification and canine wellness. Then came the final straw. Linda installed 3 cameras on my shed roof, claiming they were for park safety, but clearly aimed at my back door. She wanted to spy on me, to catch me reacting. But I wasn't playing her game. I drafted an official non-compliance order, citing violations of Municipal Codes 12.14a, 14.6.3, and 17.2.5, and printed it on town letterhead. I didn't deliver it yet. I wanted the moment to be unforgettable, a spectacle to match her absurdity. The night before Pawspalooza, I stood on my porch, watching Linda rehearse a ribbon-cutting speech to an audience of stuffed dogs taped to lawn chairs. She waved golden scissors in the air, shouting, "Let them run free." I snapped a photo, knowing her fantasy was a house of cards about to collapse. Pawspalooza dawned like a circus on steroids. A brass band tuned up in the parking lot, food trucks jockeyed for space on my driveway, and a massive arch of squeaky dog toys spanned my property's entrance, with a banner proclaiming Linda's Paws Park, a community miracle. Balloons bobbed, a face-painting booth buzzed, and a woman on stilts in a dog costume tossed frisbees to baffled kids. Linda strutted through the chaos in a park queen sash, posing for photos with a smug grin that screamed victory. From my porch, I watched, my anger replaced by cold resolve. I slipped the notarized cease and desist letter into a leather folder, backed by my authority as both landowner and zoning commissioner. I'd already sent copies to town legal, building compliance, and code enforcement. This wasn't about paperwork, Anna Maria, it was about justice. At noon, Linda climbed a rickety plywood podium by my shed, tapping her megaphone until it screeched. "Neighbors, dog lovers, friends," she began. "We stand on forgotten land, once claimed by weeds and rust. Today, we make it bark, wag, and soar." The crowd, a mix of dog owners, HOA members, and hot dog seekers, gave a tepid cheer. A chihuahua yapped relentlessly. That was my signal. Dressed in a black collared shirt with the town emblem and my zoning badge clipped to my belt, I strode down the hill. The air shifted. The band stopped tuning. Linda froze mid-sentence, her mouth hanging open like she'd seen a ghost. I stopped at the base of her podium, letting silence stretch until it was deafening. "Linda," I said, loud enough for all to hear, "you're standing on private property without permission, operating in a legal construction zone, and hosting an unpermitted event. Step down and vacate immediately." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A kid dropped a balloon animal. Linda laughed, clutching her scissors. "Tom, this isn't the time for jokes. We're mid-ceremony." I raised the folder. "This is a cease and desist order, backed by the Town Planning Board, Code Enforcement, and Meth Zoning Commissioner of Maple Grove." Her jaw dropped, fish-like. "You're lying." This was approved. I held up her forged document, its fake town seal glaringly obvious. "This is a fabrication. No rezoning, no vote, no permit. Every dollar spent here violated HOA authority and municipal law." Murmurs spread. "He owns this land," someone whispered. "I thought it was public," another said. 2 town inspectors arrived, one with a body camera, another with blueprints. Linda leapt off the podium, shoving through the crowd, shouting, "This is harassment. He's abusing power." But the crowd wasn't hers anymore. A man with a pug slipped his volunteer badge into his pocket. Others filmed with their phones. I took the megaphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, this property is mine. No city agency approved this. No hearing was held. HOA funds were misused. This will be dismantled by court order." Some nodded solemnly. Others drifted away, embarrassed to have been duped. Linda tried one last stand, ranting to a local news crew about dog rights and corruption. They ignored her, filming me as I explained the legal reality and offered to meet residents for transparency. That night, the broadcast aired. HOA leader's dog park dream turns legal disaster. Clips went viral, with Pawspalooza becoming a meme overnight. Online comments mocked Linda's fake paperwork and her podium meltdown. Someone remixed her speech with barking dogs over techno beats, racking up millions of views. But I wasn't done. The next morning, I filed a formal complaint with the town attorney, detailing Linda's fraud, trespassing, vandalism, and fund misuse. Within 48 hours, her bank account was frozen, and she was summoned to court. The HOA board held an emergency meeting without her. Mike, the principal treasurer, chaired it. Over 30 residents attended, armed with screenshots and complaints. Mike exposed Linda's financial shell game. $20,000 of HOA dues diverted to personal expenses, including spa treatments labeled community stress management and a $900 fog machine for a non-existent spring gala. The vote to oust her was 30-2, 1 abstained. One wrote, "Woof," on their ballot. Linda stormed in after, claiming a homeowner coup, but the police informed her the vote was legal. A teen's video of her parking lot meltdown, titled, "HOA Queen Gets Booted," went viral. With Linda gone, I advised the HOA temporarily, hosting Q&A sessions on zoning and accountability. Residents shared horror stories, fines for wind chimes, threats over mailbox colors. My land was cleared of turf and fake hydrants, restored to its natural state. I turned it into a green space with wildflowers, a walking path, and benches, partnering with a local school for science days. Kids now sketch butterflies where dogs once rampaged. One morning, a girl handed me a card with a dog crossed out and the words, "Thanks for saving the grass." My heart swelled. Linda's downfall was complete. The fraud case revealed she'd funneled donations to her PayPal and spent HOA funds on personal landscaping and a $3,800 influencer deal with a blue-haired teen and her bulldog, Caesar salad. The court fined her, ordered restitution, banned her from HOAs statewide, and issued an injunction against community events. Her mortgage lender raised her rates, and her house entered pre-foreclosure. She moved out at dawn, her park queen sash left in the gutter. Her once pristine lawn was overgrown, littered with faded dog toys. The neighborhood bloomed anew. Gardens sprouted, kids chalked sidewalks, and a real newsletter replaced Linda's propaganda. People waved without fear. One neighbor repurposed the Paws Park arch for his dog's backyard course, a cheeky nod to the fiasco. I met a reporter for a piece on community renewal. He asked what I'd say to Linda now. "Thanks," I said. "She showed us what happens when power goes unchecked. We're stronger for it." The article, "From Dog Park Disaster to Community Revival," spread our story. A neighbor, Ellen, whose name Linda forged on a petition, planted a flower called hope on my land. It felt like a quiet victory. Linda's chaos faded, replaced by respect and unity. We didn't need a fake park to be a community, just a reason to stand together. My land, once a battleground, is now a place where kids learn and neighbors breathe easy. Linda's out there somewhere, maybe spinning her tale to a new audience. But in Pinewood Estates, her chapter is closed, and we're writing a better one. What's your take? Have you ever faced someone like Linda, wielding power to bully or deceive? Share your stories in the comments. Was my approach too harsh, or did she get what she deserved? Let's dive into the big questions. How do we fight injustice without losing ourselves? What's the line between justice and vengeance? Your thoughts could spark the next great debate. Jump in.